Hello students, this is part 4 of angiospermic reproduction. Today we will discuss the pollination. The process of pollination. So then first we will discuss what do you mean by pollination. So pollination is transfer of pollen from anther to stigma. So this is the anther and this is the stigma. So pollens will transfer to the stigma. So transfer of pollen from anther to stigma is called pollination. Pollination is of two types, that is self-pollination or autogamy. Cross-pollination or allogamy. So here this self-pollination, autogamy means, auto means self, gamos means marriage. So this is self marriage and this is cross, that is allo means different and gamos means marriage. So in autogamy what happens, particularly in one flower or in one flower, the stamens are there as well as the stigma is there, what we call bisexual flowers. The autogamy occurs, that is here the pollen from this anther falls on the stigma of the same flower. So this is your autogamy. And allogamy means what? Two different plants or two different flowers of the same plants occurs. So that is divided into jejunogamy and xenogamy. In jejunogamy, the flower of one plant or flower of one plant occurs, that is your, suppose this is the flower and this is the flower, and pollen from this flower falls on the stigma of this flower is called jejunogamy. A single plant is involved, single plant. But in xenogamy, two different plants involved. Here the pollen of this flower falls on the different plants, the flower stigma of the different flowers. So this is called your xenogamy. So jejunogamy, one plant is involved particularly, but two different flowers. But xenogamy, two different plant involved. So we can tell this jetenogamy is genetically no difference to their parents occur. But here the intermixing of character of two plants is found. So this is jetenogamy and this is genogamy. So practically we can tell there is genetically no difference here because the common stock or common plant is there. So the character, there is no net change in the character of the offspring here occurs. But here, because of the two separate plants, so the character is intermixing and the new characters or the better characters can be found in the offspring. Self pollination process, it better favors the cleistogamous flower. Which means the closed flower. So in cleistogamous flower, particularly the flower which does not open, that means both the male and female part lies inside the flower and they never opens, so automatically we can tell confidently that self pollination occurs and there is no chances of any other foreign pollen to come. And this cross pollination allogamy favors in chasmogamous flower. Which means the open flower. So in open flower there is maximum chances of coming of foreign pollen to the flower itself. The agents of pollination. The agent of pollination must be required for cross pollination process. So agents of pollination can be divided, or we can divide them into two types. Abiotic agent and biotic agent. Abiotic agent and biotic agent. The abiotic agent includes that is air and water. The biotic agent includes that is insects and animals. So the air pollinated flowers are called anemophilous flower, because you know that the anemometer is the device used to measure the speed of air. So anemophilous flower or anemophily, we can write anemophily. So in air pollinated flowers, the flowers are modified into very interesting structures, like they are found as inflorescence, inflorescence, and mostly white in color, no fragrance, no nectar. They have feathery stigma, lightweight pollen, lightweight pollen, etc. So these are the major characters associated with the anemophilous flower or anemophily. And in water pollinated flower are called hydrophily. So these flowers may be submerged plants or they may be at the surface level, and basically the pollens are covered by mucilage to prevent wetting. If they become wet, what happens? They will settle down to the bottom, and they have high specific gravity, make them float. So these are hydrophilic flowers. And it is also important that the hydrophytes which are present inside the water bodies may or may not pollinate by water, like your lotus, water lily, like that. Then the biotic agent includes the insects and animals, and insect pollinated flowers are called entomophily, because the entomology is study of insects. So insects pollinated flower are called entomophily, and insects pollinated flowers have special characters like bright color, better fragrance, presence of nectar present. This is also called floral reward to the insects. Floral rewards, and bright color, better fragrance, nectar is present, and sticky pollen, that they can stick to the body of the insect when it will move to the flower for in search of nectar. Then animal pollinated flowers are called zoophily. So these are of varieties types. 1. Ornithophily, Chiropterophily, Malacophily, Ophiophily. So ornithophily flowers are mostly large in size, and they are pollinated by birds, because study of bird is ornithology. And Chiropterophily are mainly pollinated by the bats, and mostly they are white in color, which can be recognized in night. Then Malacophily are these are mainly pollinated by mollusks and slugs, and Ophiophyli are pollinated by snakes, because ophiology is study of snakes.